Hello guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's your girl Sewing with Damara. So get ready to learn how to make this short bubu in a very short time. This is a very easy and straightforward tutorial. If you already noticed, the fashion industry is being saturated by bubu, and I don't think it's going anytime soon because different styles and new designs are coming out every day. So learning this right now is going to come in very handy, I promise you. With that being said, let's dive right into this. These are the materials I'll be using for this tutorial. First, I have this really beautiful Ankara print here. I have about 3 yards. And guys, getting a really beautiful print is really important. You can see how beautiful this print is, and I love the different designs. Now I have this crepe here, and I think this is about 1 yard. This is just a crepe I had remaining at home, and I just picked it up. I have my other drawing tools here. I have my tape, my scissor, my chalk, and my rule. Now let's do this. The first thing I'm going to be doing is to fold this fabric, and to do that I want to first of all determine how I want my print to be on it. So I'm just going to place it this way. I think I like this design. Let's do the other side too. This looks really nice too, but I ended up going with the other design because I feel it will look better on a short bubu. If it was longer, this one would have been better. A free tip: how you place your designs depending on the length of the bubu also matters. I'll be folding my fabric in such a way that I don't have to join the front and the back at the shoulders. And if you don't know how to do that, come closer. Let me show you how you can achieve this. What I'll be doing is to get the length of my fabric just the way I'm doing here. I'm trying to get the length which is like the longest part of my fabric, and I'll be folding it into 2 this way. If you don't really understand that, you will notice that this side that has something written on it at the both ends. At the sides, I'll be folding it together. So just watch what I'm doing. After doing that, you can see what I have here. Now I'm just going to fold that into 2 again like this. I'll just fold it into 2 this way and align it. You can see how I'm doing that. So just go ahead and do yours like that, and you get exactly what I'm trying to explain. You can see what I have here. I'll just be marking the wrong sides of my fabric. I have my front and my back here, and as you can see, they are both joined at the upper part of this fabric, which is going to serve as the shoulder. From the center part, the first thing I'll be doing is to mark 3 inches for my neck width, and then for the neck depth I'll be using 1.5 inches. I'll then connect this with a curve. This is the only neckline we'll be using for now. We'll be cutting the front neckline much later. I'll divide my shoulder measurement by 2 and I'll mark it there on the upper part. I have 8.5 inches. After that, I'm going to determine how long I want my sleeve to be, and I'll mark it from that shoulder line. This is a bubu, and most times the sleeve for a bubu is cut together with the shoulder. So from that point, I'm going to mark 12 inches. From this point, you come down by 1 inch. This is to get the slope. I'm just going to mark that there. Now this is for those that want to cut this at the shoulder so they can join them back later. I won't be cutting mine at the shoulder, but I'll just be illustrating for those who want to. Now I'll connect it back into the neckline. For how deep I want my sleeve to be, I'll be using about 11 inches, and I'm just going to mark that there and connect it with a straight line back into the sleeve length. The only measurement you'll be needing around this area is your hip measurement divided by 4. That is, if your hip measurement is the biggest part. If it's your bust, you can use your bust measurement divided by 4. For me, I'll be using my hip measurement divided by 4. I'll just be marking that around where my hip line or my bust point is meant to be. It doesn't really matter. You can see how I'm placing that there. Now I'll divide my hip measurement by 4, and I have 12 there. I'll be adding 4 inches for ease, which is 16, and 1 extra inch for stitching allowance, and I'm going to mark 17. Before I'll connect this, I'll get the length of my bubu. I'll be using around 37 inches. I'm just going to mark that there, and I'll connect this with a straight line. Now I'm going to mark that 17 inches across my fabric this way. Now connect this with a straight line until I get to somewhere around this point where my chest line is meant to be, and then I'll connect it with a curve into the sleeve just like this. We are done with this. Now I'll go ahead and cut this out. Now remember I said for those that want to cut it at the shoulder, you go ahead and cut it through this shoulder slope. But for me, I won't be cutting it at the shoulder, so I'll be leaving it that way, and I'll go ahead and cut it through the sleeve to the rest of the bubu. After doing that, I'm going to open up my fabric this way so you can see what we have. I'm going to be placing it on my table like this, and as you can see here, the shoulder is joined at both the front and the back, and this is the neckline we have. To get the front neckline, I'm going to fold this in this way, and I'm going to make sure to align it at the sleeves and at the sides. Now as you can see here, the front and the back are exactly the same. Right now there's no front and back, so you have to pick one side to be your front and the other one to be the back. As you can see here, they're exactly the same, so I'll be picking this particular side to be my front. And to cut out the front, what I'll be doing is to rule a straight line from this neck width I have here all the way to the length of this side. After ruling that, I'll go ahead and cut this open just like this. After cutting open the front part, I'm going to place it this way, and as you can see here, it's looking like a kimono. This front part is open here, and this part that we cut out from the front will be replacing with a crepe much later. Now what we'll be doing is to hem our sleeves. To hem your sleeve, all you need to do is to fold this in this way and fold it in again, and then I'll go to my machine and hem the sleeves at both sides. After hemming the sleeves, you can see what I have here. The next thing I'll do now is to close up the sides of my dress, and to do that, I'm just going to go ahead and pin this down this way. After pinning it down, I'll go ahead and stitch this down using 1 inch stitching allowance, because that is the stitching allowance I used when I was cutting out my fabric, so you can go ahead and use yours. As you can see here, I'm done closing it up at the sides. You want to make sure that you notch around your stitch and also trim out the excess, or if you have your overlocking machine, you can just go ahead and overlock it after notching this. It's going to help to give you a clean finish. For the pocket, first I'm going to determine where I want my pocket to start. For me, I'll be using 20 inches. So from the shoulder of my dress, I'm just going to mark 20 inches there. Please note that I'm told that I'm using 20 inches. You can go ahead and use lesser, or you can take your measurement to know where you want your pocket to start. I'm already going ahead to cut out the pockets I'll be using for this, and also the bias strip I'll be using to finish the upper part of the pocket. And the measurements I use for the pockets, for the width I have 9.5 inches, and for the length I have 10.5, as you can see here. For the bias strip I have 2 inches for the length, and on fold there will be 1 inch, and then for the width I have 9.5 inches. Before I place the pocket, I'll be coming in from the center front by 3.5 inch, and I'm going to mark that there. Now I'm going to bring in my pocket and I'll place it on that mark where I want my pocket to start, making sure that it is 3.5 inch away from the center front. Now what I'll be doing is I want my pocket to be slanted, so I'm going to come down from the side by 1.5 inch. I'm going to mark that there, and using my rule I'm going to connect it into the side like this. What I'll be doing now is to cut this out. I'm going to bring the other side of my pocket. Make sure that when you are placing this pocket, that you are placing them right side facing each other, because you don't want to cut them to be on the same side. Now I'm going to trim this off. I'll be inserting my bias strip, and to do that I'm just going to place it on the wrong side like this, and I'm going to pin it down. I'll go ahead and go to my machine and stitch this down using 1/2 inch stitching allowance. After stitching this down, you can see what I have here. I'm just going to trim out the excess, and then I'm going to fold this like this and fold it in again to finish off the bias strip. After finishing the upper part of my pocket, you can see what I have here. This is what yours should look like. Now to insert it to my dress, I'm going to place it there at the point I marked, 3.5 inches away from the center front, also making sure that it's at this 20 inches mark where my pocket will be starting. To do this, I'm just going to fold this in this way, and I'm going to fold it in again, and I'll be pinning this down along this side like this. I'll be repeating the same thing to this under part. I'll fold it in this way, and I'm going to fold it in again. I'll use my pins to secure it in place, and I'll also be doing the same thing to this side. I'll fold it in this way, and I'm going to fold it in again and pin it down. Now I'm going to go to my machine and make a top stitch on this, making sure that my stitch is close to the edge. After stitching down my pocket to my dress, you can see how beautiful this came out. And if you notice, I made sure that the part of my pocket is rhyming with the design I have on my dress. If you're going to insert pockets, try as much as possible to make sure that the design on the pocket is rhyming. If your dress has different designs, is rhyming with the designs on the side you want to place the pocket, just so to have a very clean and professional finish. Now the next thing we'll be doing is to use the crepe to finish off this part which you cut out at the beginning of this video. And before we do that, go ahead and take the measurement I have around this open space. After taking the measurement, this is what I had. I first had 60 and then plus 23, that's a total of 83. Make sure that you add an extra 2 to 3 inch before cutting out your crepe. Okay, now for the width of the crepe, I have about 6 inches here, and this is because when we were cutting out the front part, we used the neck width of the front of our bubu, and that's about 3 inches on fold, so opening it is going to be 6 inches. Okay, so I'm just going to fold this into 2 this way, and as you can see, I have a joining up here, and this is going to be serving as my midpoint. Now the first thing I'm going to do is to get a center line for this. I'm just going to fold this into 2 like this and give it a really good press. That way I have a line that is going to be my guide. After pressing that, you can see here that this line is visible at this midpoint here. This is going to be serving as a guide for me, and you will see why. The next thing I'll be doing now is determine how deep I want my neckline to be. For how deep I want my neckline to be, I'll be using 12.5 inches. I'm just going to mark that there. Now I'll be making a stitch from this 12.5 inch all the way to the length of this place. Now if you're making a longer bubu and you want a slit, all you need to do is just to make a stitch from this neck all the way to wherever you want your slit to start. Okay, let's say for example here you stop here, but I won't be doing that, so I'll be making a stitch all the way to the length of this. After making a stitch, I'm just going to open this up this way, and you can see what it looks like. You can see the neck area, you can see the design has already come out. Now to attach this to the boob, to the main dress, what I'm going to do is to get the midpoint of this neck area like this. If you do not have a joining at the shoulder, this might be a little bit tricky, so you need to make sure that you notch it at the midpoint. If not, it might not come out well. So after notching it, I'm going to bring in this, and I'm going to use this part already serving as a midpoint. I'm going to place it on that notch there, and I'm going to pin this down on the right side all the way around. After doing that, I'm going to pin down this other side. I'm just going to turn that to the wrong side so I can complete pinning it down. Now what I'll do is go to my machine and make a stitch in half-inch stitching allowance all the way around. After I'm done doing that, I'm just going to trim off the excess, and I'm going to hem the down part of my dress. We have come to the end of this tutorial, and I really hope that this tutorial was helpful. Do not forget to hit on the subscribe button, turn on your post notification, share this to family and friends who you think would need this. I'll see you guys in my next one.